Hello everyone and welcome to episode 128 of the Cherry Heart podcast. I'm Sandra and this is a podcast featuring crochet, knitting and sewing for the most part. You will be able to find the show notes for the things I talk about on my blog, which is cherryheart.co.uk. That's also where you'll find my patterns and tutorial links and so on. You will be able to navigate this video using the video chapters, which I shall put in the down bar below, and also you can scroll through on the bottom of the screen. What else do I say? Oh yes, I'm on Instagram as Sandra Cherry HRT, so that's where I post mostly on Instagram, and elsewhere around the web I'm Cherry Heart usually. So hello! Thank you so much for coming back if you're a returning viewer. Lovely to see you again. Well, I don't see you, but you know what I mean. It's lovely to have you here again. And if you were new and trying this out, thank you so much for coming to check it out. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to get more of my content, if you do enjoy it, if you give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, that's always fantastic and helpful. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the lovely comments and things I've been getting lately. Just really helpful and useful comments and just lovely comments. And I don't know if I say that enough, but I really appreciate it. It really helps you sort of keep going, I think. Because it's very difficult now, isn't it, on Instagram, and it's getting harder on YouTube as well to even get sort of seen or out there at all. So yeah, it's just really lovely when you go, I'm here. I've watched it. It makes it feel a bit more like it's worth bothering with. So yes, thank you for that. What else do I have to say? I guess we can just get into it now, can't we? We can just begin. So what do I have to show you? So if you've been here before, I've got a few whips that I've made a little bit of progress on. So we'll talk about those first. So I have a crochet one first. So last week I was saying that I wanted to make a shawl out of this indigo yarn that I got from lovely Daki of Wool and the Forest. So I was trying various different samples and things. It all looks a bit light on screen, as if everything's a little bit overexposed. Just try and look at my settings and see what's going on there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, so I was trying samples and things, but I have now wound up my gorgeous yarn. Look at that pretty yarn. And I have tried up a little bit of the preferred sample that I was talking about in the indigo yarn. So let's show you that. So here's how it's looking. I shall pop it on the board so we can see. I was trying to show my samples on the board last time, and of course the obvious thing that I missed with the samples is that I used variegated yarn, but I was sampling for a one colour, you know, a solid colour shawl. Well, a sort of semi-solid, I guess. So that wasn't very bright. But anyway, someone pointed out, because I had the white background and some of them, that wasn't making some of them show up, I need to put a dark background on the other side, which is a really clever idea. So I didn't check before I came on who suggested that, so sorry I don't have your name, but thank you for your suggestion, because it is a very good one. So there we go, that's how it looks with its nice white background. Pretty, right? I think some of you liked the other samples as well, but a lot of you did think this one was the best, and I think I agree. So this is I was going to say I'll leave that there so you can still see it. I think because it's got a stitch marker on, it's not wanting to stay in place. It's a fingering weight yarn, was what I was going to say, but I have gone... Did I leave the hook in here? Yeah, I have gone to a size 4mm hook because I just wanted that openness and that just really nice drape and sort of that flowing rivery feel to it, because this cotton is quite soft anyway. but I thought, you know, it's always nice to get that real nice drape with a shawl so it just hangs nicely. Yeah, so that's how far I've got with that. But now I've done my little section. I did try it on a 3.5 hook as well, but I just preferred that this was just so drapey and loose that this is what I you know, preferred the feel and look of. So yeah, so now I've got my 4mm hook going. That's kind of my beginning now, so I will carry on with that until I've got a nice sort of shawl size, and then I want to put some kind of border on, but I don't know what, because you know I haven't actually got a plan or anything. That would be far too organised, wouldn't it? And then my other thing that I have in progress is a knitting thing. Right, so let's get this out. So this is the Silver Forest jumper pattern by Jennifer Steingass. Knit Love Wool she is. And I can show you the picture I did last time, but like I say, our toner printer ink was running out, so not a most useful picture. So if you were here last time, forgive me if you're new, but I'm going to go over a little bit of what we talked about last time, because I was having issues. I can't even remember, had I started last time we spoke? I'm not sure I had. I think I just had my sample piece and I was saying that I hadn't got gauge at all. Anyway, I got some brilliant advice on this. So, one of which was to look at Ravelry projects and see what gauge other people were getting. So I did look, I started by looking at on Ravelry, and a lot of people mentioned their stitch count, but very few people mentioned their row count. A few people just said, I got gauge. Some people said they got stitch but didn't get row, but the vast majority of people went, oh, I've got the stitch count of whatever, and they don't mention row. So I don't know if that means people just don't worry about it so much, or they just, you know, if they got stitch count, okay, they got the other, or, you know, I don't know. So, and I also spoke to Gaynor, who was the inspiration for making me start this, or where the blame lies is how I'm putting it. And she said she didn't get row count either. So I thought, well, that's fine, I'll just carry on ahead. Then I had my quandary over colours. So there's two factors with this now. There's the colours. So I've got my main colour is this light grey. Let's just show you a bit of my colour work. So main colour light grey, we've got this darker grey for the border, white background, and then the colour of this pattern. I've got a lifeline in here. So the colour for this pattern, which oh, can he speak? Is what I had under debate. So I ordered this strawberry pink, they called it on the website, and I saw when I was there this peachy pink. So I ordered that too, in case, because I actually wanted a bit of a softer pink than this. This is actually almost, someone called it brick red on Instagram, and I thought actually, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's like a brick red. And I wanted something a bit softer. So this, when it came, was more peachy than I imagined, but it is softer. Anyway, so I liked both of them. I couldn't decide, so I put a poll up on Instagram, and the consensus was this one. 61% for this, over this. And I've got to be honest, it's one of those things where someone says, you should do that, and you immediately want to go, I want to do the other thing. So I was immediately thinking, I think I do want the peach now you've said that. But I thought, well, you know, my original instinct was the pink as well, so let's just go with it. So I think it looks nice, I think it looks really good, but it's very bold. And I think with the very white background, I could have had the softer colour and that still would have shown up really nicely. And it would have just been a little bit more, just a little bit more subtle, I think I wanted. Like I say, I wanted a pink, but I wanted it to be pink pink, and I feel this is actually more of a red. So anyway, because I wasn't 100% convinced, I did put the lifeline in for the colour. But then I started, I got another comment on YouTube. So I'd only done a little bit of the colour, but I'm going to read it out because it's really useful, if I can find it. Right, here we go. This is from Kim Betts. So I'd just started a couple of rows of the colour work, and she said, on your gauge issue, I'd be inclined to try a different yarn and steer away from the alpaca altogether. Alpaca will stretch out and not bounce back like wool does. It just doesn't have that kind of elasticity. So then she sort of mentioned some yarns I can use, and also mentioned that if I used sort of a better yarn for the colour work, or a more appropriate yarn for the colour work, that might really help with the gauge as well. So it's like, yeah, and she also mentioned that obviously with if my gauge is off on rows and the alpaca then stretches, that will send the gauge even further off, so probably not the best idea. So I read that, and you know when it's like, ah, oh, I do not want to hear this, but you're so right, you are absolutely, I know you're right. And in the back of my mind, I had, when I was looking for an alternative, I did have in the back of my mind, well, I don't want alpaca because of the stretch. Because when you search and you put wool and the alpaca comes out, I was just manually looking through and going, oh yeah, no, alpaca, no. But obviously because the flora has got wool in it as well, it came up under the wool section. And when I saw that, you know, I had the flora in stash, that's why I chose it, because I had all of this grey in stash and all of the white, and I only needed 2 more colours. And obviously I completely forgot about the alpaca content then. Or if I did remember, I thought, oh, it's small, it'll be fine, yeah. But when I read that comment, I thought, of course, yes, of course, I know you're right. So that left me with a slight quandary, because I know if this sweater is going to have a chance of coming out well, I probably do need to use the wool. I know she's right, I don't dispute that. But because I'd already started, so I'd done the border already and I'd started some of this colour work, what I thought I would do, because I don't have any other wool at this moment that I can use, I would have to go back to the drawing board and search again. I thought I'm just going to carry on knitting the yoke of this. And as I see it, I've got 3 possible scenarios that could happen, right? So either I will knit the yoke and possibly the neck, and I'll come up with something that I think, so you know, I'll do that and I'll get an okay fit, and the colour work will turn out okay looking to me, because I'm not great at colour work. It's a bit of a, I just try to avoid going there, because although I like how it looks, I'm rubbish at it. So either they'll both turn out okay and I'll be like, okay, I think I can still make a wearable jumper out of this. This is good. Everyone, I'm happy, you know, and the colour work's okay. If I go up over the yoke and it's just the fit is bad and the colour work is okay, well, that's kind of what I'm expecting. So if that's what I get, that's fine. But it just reminds me of what my friend Sam says. She used to have the Betsy Makes podcast, if you remember her. And she said no time is wasted, because even if, you know, no crafting time is wasted, because even if it goes wrong, you'll learn something from it. And that's exactly what this scenario is. Like, if this goes wrong and the fit goes wrong, I still would have had that colour work practice and sort of spent all that time knitting all those rows, and my colour work's got to improve with all that. So I don't think it will be completely wasted time, even if it doesn't fit. So if my colour work is still, you know, it has improved and it looks okay and the fit is rubbish, then that's fine. I can just go, right, it is definitely worth sourcing the new yarn, and when I do, hopefully my colour works a bit better and it's going to make a better garment anyway, so that will be fine. And then the third scenario is it doesn't fit and the colour work is garbage, in which case I will probably get really frustrated and demoralised and not want to carry on anyway, and then it'll be a very good job that I didn't buy a whole load more yarn to make a colourwork jumper I'm never going to make out of. So I think that's my plan. I think I will see how this goes and see how the colourwork goes, and see if I can salvage anything out of this, or see if this idea of making a colourwork jumper is worth salvaging at all before I sort of invest in getting some more yarn. Because I mean, I'm knitting along and sometimes I feel like, oh, this is going well, yeah, this is going to look great. Once it's all blocked, it's going to be good. I mean, some bits, you know, that tree doesn't look hideous. I don't know. But then other times I'm knitting along and it sort of feels all tight and puckered up, and this red feels substantially thinner than the cream, which I'm really not enjoying. So it feels like, I mean, it, like I say, some bits look all right. I don't know. And other times I think it's because it's all scrunched up on the needles and I can't really tell. I'm going to take it off and lay it out and go, oh my god, it's hideous. So yeah, so that's the first hurdle. Yeah, look at that bit. What's going on there? Massive, oh, you can't really see it, but it looks hideous in person. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not convinced that I can make this to a standard that's worth investing any more yarn in. I think that's perhaps why I was quite excited about the stash idea, the fact that, you know, not that it's, you know, it'd still be a waste of stash if it didn't work out and I never wore it, but it's better than just going out and spending fresh money and then going, oh, this is useless. I mean, obviously I could frog it back and get the yarn back, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so that's my plan. I'll persevere with the yoke and see what it looks like. As for the colour, I have left the lifeline in. I mean, maybe if the colour work is fantastic and the fit is fantastic, maybe I'll rip back and do it in the peach. I probably won't bother though, to be honest. But there we go. So that's my decision on that. So depending on what of those 3 scenarios I get will decide the fate of this project. So I will keep you posted. Okay, so the next thing I have made, you haven't seen before, although it is a variation on a theme. It's another little crochet jumper for my little Bertie boy. I've got a tiny bit of footage of him wearing it that I'll pop in here, and maybe I'll see if I can get some more to show you, because he hasn't worn this one too much yet. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit, tiny bit milder. So yeah, so it's a little doggy coat. I made some of these before just with treble crochets and some granny stripes on, and I just thought I'd try it in this slightly different pattern. I just thought it's so Valentine's. Not that he needs a special coat for Valentine's Day, but you know, any excuse. So I've made this one a little bit shorter. The other ones were longer, but because it'll be getting warmer, I've made this one a bit shorter. But yeah, the basic idea is the same, just sort of going around and getting slightly bigger. And like I say, I just didn't put the extra length to keep all of his back warm. And yeah, just put some little leg holes in. So I think I probably need to stop making dog jumpers now. Although they have worked out well. He's been wearing them. It's been working out great. So I think there is scope to make more in future, but I think that will do for now. But yes, so the well, it's not really a pattern, but the one I made that was just crochet trebles, I have put the notes up. Did I say this time? I think I said I was going to do it. I was about to do it last time, so they are up now. So like I say, I've written it all out, you know, more or less like a proper pattern, if you like, but it's just for that one size I made that fits Bertie, so I don't know how well it'll fit. You know, I've put this in the pattern. I don't know how well it will fit another miniature dachshund, let alone any other sort of dog. But it does at least give you some kind of starting point of stitch counts, and like how I did the increases. Maybe that will work out for you. Maybe at least it's a starting point and you can explore from there. But yeah, I've just popped it up on Ravelry. So if you just you can either go straight to Ravelry and to Cherry Heart or Sandra Paul, or if you go to my cherryheart.co.uk website, I think it's on the front page at the minute of Going to Press, but I've just called it Bertie's crochet jumper. So yeah, so you can just grab the notes from there if you would like them, but it's not for this particular stitch pattern. This is based off the same, exactly the same sort of measurements and ideas. I just adapted it to change the stitch pattern. So yeah. Oh, and yarn is Stylecraft again. So it's Stylecraft, Bellissima and Bambino. So I think the red and the darker pink are the Bellissima, and the soft pink and the cream colour are the Bambino ones. But yeah, same hook and everything. But yeah, they're so quick to whip up. That's the joy of them. I mean, there's quite a few ends with this one, obviously, because I changed colours every row, but you can still whip them up quite quickly. It's very satisfying. Oh, and so while I'm on the subject of Bertie, I got another message. I've been trying to actually be better about keeping track of these things, and I've been saving them on my phone. Here it is. I just wanted to get who asked me. So this was from Marion. So, Bertie, you look dashing in your new jumper. This was when I showed the other one. Sandra, your family is so fortunate to have such a sweet doggy. Please tell us how old and how he came into your lives. So, I thought I would tell you a little bit about Bert. He is 6 at the moment, so he'll be 7 this year, and we got him basically because my daughter badged us to the point that we finally gave in. So I was campaigning strongly for something smaller and kind of easier, like a gerbil. She had a very soft spot for gerbils as well. It was kind of dog or a gerbil, dog or a gerbil, and I was firmly in the gerbil camp. But as so often happens, Dad waded in and went, "Wouldn't you like a dog though?" And she was like, "Well, yes, if I think I can get hold of a dog, I'll definitely have the dog." So I was like, "Oh, well done." So we ended up looking for a dog. So it was very much led by my daughter. She was very much, you know, she had a book of dogs and dog breeds, and we looked for all the different dog breeds and which ones you could get here in the UK, and you know, and I said, well, you know, they need looking afterwards and responsibility, all these things you say to your children before you get a dog. So she was very much taken with a couple of breeds. One was a little bit more, I can't even remember the name of it now, it was one I hadn't heard of before. It was a little bit more unusual, and then the dachshunds, the miniature dachshunds. So yeah, so basically that's where it came from, and then we were put in touch with a breeder for miniature dachshunds, so we wanted to find someone reputable, obviously. And so we went to visit her home, and she showed us Bertie's mum, and you know, so we sort of got some updates on him until we were able to pick him up, and then we went and got him. So he's actually a sort of a, what's the word, kennel club, he's a pedigree, so he is actually kennel club registered. Not that, you know, we weren't particularly looking for a pedigree, but we did want a reputable breeder. So yeah, so the condition was that we couldn't show Bertie, so because it would be competition with his family members. But yeah, we didn't intend him for that kind of life. We just wanted to love him and have him at home as our pet. So yeah, so he's actually Kennel Club registered. And so she said, I'll register, the breeder said, I'll register him for you. What do you want his Kennel Club name to be? And I said, oh, I don't know. We know we're calling him Bertie, but I don't know about any other names. And so my daughter said, well, he'll just be Bertie. And because his mother's Kennel Club name has Happily in, he got registered as Happily Just Bertie. So that's his full official name, but obviously we just call him Bert. But yeah, that's it. That's Bertie's little story. So what else do I have to tell you? Just a few, well, just one update really on the pattern front. So before Christmas I was working on my crochet star blanket. I'll pop it in here so you know what on earth I'm talking about. And I've done some tutorials for making the little half colour squares and putting the blocks together, and I finally recorded the tutorial to show how I did the that sort of binding style border with these spike stitches, and I've got the pattern written up as well, which I think is more or less ready. I need to go back to it and just check everything's ready. But yes, so finally I will be able to get that last tutorial up and get the pattern out, so that's good. And when I've done that I shall move back to this one, which I also started before Christmas, and I've done a tutorial for the hexagons and joining the hexagons, I think. Yeah, so I've done that, and yeah, so I need to finish that up. I need to actually finish the blanket. I haven't even finished the blanket. I need to do the fillers, squares, hexagons, sorry, and I need to come up with some kind of border. But I'll get the crochet one, the star one, ticked off first, and then I will come back to that. So that's all there is in pattern progress. Oh, and on the video front, talking about tutorials, I was tidying up my craft room the other day. I popped a little bit in my quiet moments vlog the other day that I popped up just to sort of, because it was something I was doing and I thought I'd video a bit of it really. So yeah, so I was tidying up, and I thought it'd be quite nice to do a little updated craft tour. I did one years ago, and in a way not much has changed up here since then, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago, so I just thought, I'm sure a lot of people have joined me since then and they might be interested in a craft tour. So I'm going to film that in a minute, hopefully. Yeah, so that will be coming soon, which I hope is of interest. The only other project I've got on the go is my embroidery, my Christmas embroideries that I'm putting into loops. That's why I'm making this motion. Yeah, I haven't finished those yet, so I haven't bothered to show you because not an awful lot has changed, but hopefully next time I'll be able to show you those. So I've just got a couple of incoming goodies to share. So completely out of the blue, a parcel turned up the other day with some absolutely divine things in. So it's a lovely friend of the podcast, and yeah, just totally unexpected. I don't really know what I've done to deserve getting lovely gifts like this, but thank you so much. Now I know who this was from, and I know that we'd been chatting, but I couldn't remember how we used to chat, whether it was on Instagram or YouTube, or whether it was on the blog, or where it was. So I thought, oh my goodness, I can't get hold of you to say thank you. But I have found you now, so yes, so I've been able to say thank you, so that's a good thing. But anyway, yes, I thought I would show you this sort of knitting crochet related one. So first up, this, look, it's cute. It's a sewing planner. So it's a little book where you can put all your information about your sewing projects. So you can put like a little sketch in there. There's also a bit where you can put your little fabric swatches in here, make all your notes and everything. How cool is that? I've never seen anything quite like that. I have seen sort of little project ones, but they're normally sort of quite plain, but this one's really pretty. Yeah, so that's quite good. So I'm going to keep that up in the craft room, because this is where, if I have a sewing project, it will tend to be done. So I'm going to leave that up here. And then she sent me some gorgeous yarns as well. So we have this cone of beautiful sock yarn. So watercolour sock. And that's how that's going to come out. So I think these are all from Poland, as far as I know, because this lovely person lives here, but was either from Poland originally or has family in Poland. But this particular one, it says made in Italy. So yeah, so that's a 4-ply or a sock wool anyway. So it's 420 meters for 100 grams in 70% wool and 25% nylon. I've never had cone yarn before, so that's good. You can sort of stand it there and knit straight off of it. That's really cool, isn't it, actually? Yeah, so that one. It also says you can do 2 identical socks, so there must be some ways so that you know once you've done one, or maybe it just naturally fades back in and then you know, okay, I'm ready to start the next one. Yeah. And then I've got these 2 sort of kind of grouped mini yarns, which are really pretty. More helicopter interruptions. Yeah, so I think this is art. I think that's what it's called. So it's Mondale art. And this is Italy as well. Maybe she's been to Italy. Have you been to Italy? Is that what it is? Yeah, so they've got a kind of serving suggestion on the front there, and there's actually a link to a few different ideas there. So a scarf, a different sort of bag, cowl, and this granny square bag, which I quite like the idea of doing granny squares with that. I think that could work quite nicely. So I might do granny squares with that. So that's 52% wool and 48% microfiber PC. It does feel very soft. And then this one as well, look at this. How pretty is that? I have occasionally seen yarn sort of done in this kind of, it almost looks plaited, doesn't it, at a festival one time, but yeah. So this one, I think this is called this Super Trekkia. Trekkia. Again, it's this Mondial yarn, and it comes, look, it's got that little cow pattern is actually inside there. It actually comes with a pattern, and it's got it in like a whole load of different languages, English, French, German. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? So there's 200 grams worth here, 440 meters worth. So I'm not quite sure what I would do with that quite yet. Could be a cowl. Sort of all right for cows at the moment, but not that that stops us for long, does it? But yeah, so I'll mull over that. I don't know if I'd want to keep it in that nice gradient or mix them up. It would seem a shame to mess up with the gradient, wouldn't it, really? Maybe I will just do it as a nice cowl or a scarf. But that one I will probably mull over a bit longer. This one I might do some granny squares quite soon. Although, having said that, although I haven't talked about many whips going on, kind of like the list, I've tried to be a little bit more organised this year, because I tend to, you know what it's like, you have a billion different ideas, and sometimes you buy the yarn for those ideas and all the fabric, and you think, oh, I tend to go, I'll just quickly do this project, and then I'll do, oh, I'll just quickly do, and then, but it's not just quickly, it sort of takes ages. You can't just whip up, oh, I'll just quickly do this jumper. It doesn't work that way, does it? So everything always takes longer than I think. You know, I think, oh, there's only these 4 things I want to make, and then like a month goes by and I'm like, right, well, I'm getting there with 3 of them now, but, and the list grows in the meantime. Anyway, so I'm trying to be a little bit more structured about going, right, I wanted to do this, then I wanted to do this, and if I have other ideas, they've got to come down and the list a bit further. So, you know, try to just do a knitting project and a crochet project and a sewing project and no more than that. But I've also, you know, I've got things queuing up in each section already, so yeah, need to try and be a little bit more, well, you don't need to, but the thing is, it depends on the person, doesn't it? Because if I have lots of whips or lots of bits of things started all over the place, I just don't like how it feels. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere with anything, and I just don't like the feeling I get. I'm much better at sort of going, I've started this and I'm making progress on it, and now it's done, and now I can start a new thing, and that makes me feel much better. So that's just personal preference, that's how I prefer to work. But the trouble is, all the ideas go, make me now, make me now. So yeah, it's quite hard sometimes to fight the natural wanting to make things with what I know suits me better and makes me feel better much more of the time, if you see what I mean. Does that make any sense? I hope so. I'm sure some of you will agree. I know some of you will go, no, just cast it all on, it doesn't matter. And that's cool if that, you know, makes you happy as well. That's very cool. But yeah, we're all different, aren't we? Anyway, this is just irrelevant waffle now. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to try and film the Craft Room podcast. And I have got some lovely questions for you, so I will try and answer as many of those as I can while I'm doing it. So I guess that will probably be the next time I see you, because it's half term here soon, and hubby's birthday and stuff. So I don't know when I'll get a chance to podcast again, but not only that, when you sort of haven't crafted much, there's nothing to actually podcast about, is there? So then I have to leave it a bit longer anyway. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'll be back soon. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed the episode, and like I say, if you want to like, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. That would be fab. Yeah, I'm gonna go now. Stop it. Stop talking. Just go. Alright, see you next time. Bye.